Good morning. What I am going to do today is something that I said I wasn't going to do for a few months. I'm going to go ahead and do a comparison between end dump and pneumatic in regard to some of my per mile totals as I have them to date. I've been down for the past week for maintenance. I'll be getting my truck back on Tuesday. It is Sunday, March 12th. I've been off for the entire week. I got home last Saturday. I've had an entire week to kind of look at some of this stuff, and I decided to go ahead and put out a preliminary video with a little bit of comparison. I have been in pneumatics since January 9th. That is when I got to Little Rock to have my blower installed. From January 9th until today, between regular time off, maintenance issues, and just other related things, the blower install, that took a day and a half, and some other things I had to do, I've actually ran the truck for 36 days. It's been about 56 to 57 days total that I've been in pneumatics, but I've had about 20 or 21 days of downtime due to those other areas, maintenance, time off, things of that nature. That includes the past week that I've been off. And I want you to keep that in mind as I put some of these revenue totals up, that I haven't been able to generate a lot of sustained running that I would like to do prior to putting this out. But I do want to go ahead and get out a video with some numbers and how it compares to now based on what little bit I've had in the pneumatics division. So let's go ahead and do this quickly. In end dump, as you recall, if you go back to my December video, how much am I making, what am I doing as far as revenue and things of that nature, I was averaging $1.68 per mile in end dump. That was my average net per mile in end dump, and that included my escrow at $175 per week coming out every single week. So $1.68 a mile net, that was for all miles, and with escrow at $1.75 a week. Something that I calculated before I put this out, or decided to create this video, is my total revenue in the end dump division. Again, I switched over on January 9th. So this goes through about the end of the first week of January, and my total overall revenue was roughly $83,000 net in that period of time that I was in the end dump division. My overall total miles, I didn't figure out my exact total miles, but they were roughly 53,000 miles in that division. Now, something to keep in mind, that 53,000 miles roughly, that isn't paid miles. That is actual book miles. Okay? 53,000 roughly actual book miles. The other thing to note, and I said this previously in the December video, I had $3,000 roughly last year in bonus money, okay, that I want to take into account for this. So I had overall about $80,000 net on about 53,000 actual book miles. I'm sorry, not book miles, actual running miles. Okay, book miles are what we get paid on. I'm a dork for saying that. On actual miles. Okay, so I was netting $1.68 on paid miles. That was in my previous video. If you do the numbers on this, I think it comes up to about $1.52 roughly for all actual miles. Okay, per mile. Okay, this is important because when I start to put this comparison up for pneumatics, we have to look at this number right here. And this right here was over a period, if I'm not mistaken, of about 18.2 weeks of running, if you do the math. If you remember, I started the end of August with Bruce Oakley on the 22nd of August. I was in orientation that week. Came out of orientation that weekend on the 29th. So technically I started running on the 29th of August, and I switched into pneumatics on the 9th of January. So if you guys want to do the numbers on that, it went from the 29th of August to the 9th of January is the date that I was at the shop getting my blower installed. Okay, let's get over here and move into some pneumatics numbers. Excuse me. In pneumatics, my actual numbers for that, I went into pneumatics at roughly 460,000 miles on my odometer, and I'm at 475, 725 right now. So my actual numbers, and this is why I wanted to do actual miles, because I didn't add up all of my paid miles. Okay, so my actual miles in pneumatics are 15,725 actual miles. My revenue in pneumatics to date has been $28,445. And again, this is net revenue. Okay? Now, I don't have much in the way of bonuses this year. Okay? It's been quiet in regard to you folks reaching out and asking questions about Oakley, and that's fine. Okay, probably a good time for me to let you guys know, and women, if you're interested in Bruce Oakley, don't hesitate to hit me up. I'll be happy to help you in any way that I can, provide what information I can to you. We do get referral bonuses, so we do appreciate that. We ask that you contact us first. Please contact me before you contact Bruce Oakley. I have to submit your name and number to get credit for that, and I would greatly appreciate it if you could do that. Reach out to me via email, jimmysroadlife, LYFE @gmail.com, and I'll provide a way for you to reach me, or I'll reach out to you, and we'll connect, and I'll help you in any way that I can. Bonus, no bonus, doesn't matter, still happy to help. But I say that to say that this year I don't have much in the way of bonuses. So there's nothing to really take off of this 28,445 like I did over here to bring that down to an actual number. Something else to keep in mind. This 28,445, I have 175 plus 200 per week coming out. This is for escrow and my blower cost, because I had to purchase a blower to go into pneumatics. So I have 375 a week coming out compared to just 175 a week coming out over here. Okay, because it does matter. I had 8 weeks total. I'll put this over here, 8 weeks total so far in pneumatics. Out of that 8 weeks, again, I've ran for 36 days. Okay, so 28,445 over 8 weeks means that I've had 375 times 8 come out of that check. It's an additional $200 that's coming out. The other thing that I had come out of this is a one-time deduction of $625 to cover the remainder of my escrow balance. I wanted to get my escrow paid off. At Oakley, you're required to have a $5,000 escrow account. I wanted that done, so I had them draft that 2 weeks ago to cover that amount and get it off the table. So that is no longer going to be coming out of my settlement, only the $200 for the blower. So what I would like to do to get these numbers to have some kind of comparison for a mileage rate, I want to put that $625 back in because that was an additional cost. And I'm going to go ahead and leave the blower cost as coming out, but I want to put back in the escrow cost for 8 weeks, and that was $1,400. Why? Because to get a comparable number, I want to balance these based on what's going to be coming out as I move forward. Okay? So I want to do that. Now, to get that correct, let's see, we have 445, that's 0, carry that down, we have 4 plus 3, that's 7, 6 and 4, that's 4, carry the 1, 28 plus 2 is 30. Okay, $30,470 roughly is what I would have net if I wanted to balance these two numbers to give a pretty good comparison of the per mile rate, especially as I move forward. So to show what I would have going forward, I want to kind of balance what I would have had for the last 8 weeks. That's why I'm putting these amounts back in. And I'm doing escrow rather than the blower because there's a difference of $200, and it gives the numbers a little bit more integrity because I'm going to continue to have that blower cost coming out as I move forward. So to do this, I take 30,470 divided by 1,005 or 15,725, and if I'm not mistaken, that comes up to $1.94 per mile for actual miles. Okay, $1.94 per mile for actual miles. So as you can see, in Pneumatics, I'm at $1.94 for all actual miles. In End Up, I was at $1.52 for all actual miles. Something to note in how I'm computing this. This number right here includes any demurrage. Some of you might call it detention. Any layover pays, or any Canadian pays that there may be. You get $150 to cross the border into Canada with Bruce Oakley as a flat rate pay. I have taken all of my demurrage, layover, and Canadian pays that comes into this. I just balance them into this total, $1.94. I'm not going to break it all down. I don't have the time or the patience to do all that. It doesn't really matter. What I'm trying to come up with is a per mile number based on how this averages over time. And this is over a period of 8 weeks. Okay? The way that this works out, if you take this number, you take 15,725 and divide that by 36, it came up to roughly 437 miles a day on average that I was averaging with Pneumatics. And if I'm not mistaken, it was about $875 a day. That's what the truck was making. I plan on working the truck 22 to 23 days a month and taking off about 7 days, no more than 8. Okay, so you take 875 and multiply that out at 22 to 23 days. And it came out to roughly $200, if I'm not mistaken, $32,000 per year that I would be making in net revenue, okay, to the truck, and that's per year. All right. Over here in End Up, I did the math on this earlier. 152,000 or $1.52 for actual miles on 53,000 miles, and I was making roughly $44.75 a week net in End Up, and that was calculated basically it would be over a 52-week period. Over here in Pneumatics, if I did the math right, it was going to be roughly $250 more. It was going to be like $46.75 to $4,700 per week that I would be getting in Pneumatics compared to End Up. One thing to keep in mind is that's bringing out the $200 a week or $800 a month for the blower. Once that gets injected back into this number, okay, you're going to be looking at this number jumping up to about $2 a mile for all actual miles. All right, I expect to run roughly 10,000 miles per month. Once this goes back in, and that accounts to about 6 cents a mile, then you're looking at 10,000 miles at $2 a mile. That's $20,000 per month that I'll have net, that I'll be producing to the truck, okay? Working the truck 22 to 23 days per month. That's my goal. That's what I expect to make. In Pneumatics, or I'm sorry, in End Up, if you go back to my numbers, I was at about $19,000-ish per month on average in my time there. And you're seeing it's about $1,000 more per month once everything is all said and done. And the work over here in Pneumatics is a lot different than the work in end dump. In end dump, it was a much faster paced environment. Just something that I want to share with you guys. Everybody says, well, I'm going to go to end dump so I can get in and out of a place in 15 minutes and not sit there for a few hours trying to blow that load off of the trailer with that blower. Guys, I always averaged at least an hour at a customer. Okay, I had, I think, one place that I was in and out of in 15 minutes. And believe it or not, that was up in Detroit picking up a load of scrap. It's not like that. You're going to have to scale into a place, go back and get loaded, come back, scale out heavy, okay, tarp the load, get your bills, do everything, and get ready to get down the road. You're going to be about an hour at these places. It's not 15 minutes. Don't kid yourself in thinking that. You might have that occasional place, but in general, it's going to be an hour to 2 hours at a customer. I found that my average time at a customer here has been about 3 hours, maybe 4, to deliver. Okay, some places to load I've been in and out of within an hour. Okay, but for the most part, it's 3 to 4 hours. There are delays, but we get demurrage a lot over here. In end dump, there's not a lot of detention. You have to break that 2-hour barrier to get detention. Over here, you don't really have that. It's about an hour to 2 hours. So there is a lot of free time in this division that you're giving. Over here, there is time, but you're compensated for that time once you break that 2-hour window. In this division, there's more miles, but it's less per mile. So if you run more miles, you could easily catch a guy in Pneumatics in an overall revenue picture. But this guy in Pneumatics isn't running as hard to make that compared to the guy that's in end dump that's go, go, go. It depends on your preference. If you don't like to sit and wait, this won't be a good division for you. Okay, if you want to be on the go constantly and be extremely busy, this is a good division for you. You will have that in end dump. But remember, you're going to run more miles over here to make the same money that a guy in Pneumatics is making. Now, in Pneumatics, you have a much bigger investment. That blower that you have to purchase to work in this division costs $10,000 roughly. So you certainly are making that investment. But that investment brings with it, obviously, more money per mile. Okay, as we see right here, $1.94 is what that brings. Okay, compared to $1.52. So right now, I should be averaging roughly $1.94 per mile net is where I will fall now that I have my escrow paid off and I just have my blower payment coming out. Okay, over here I was at $1.68 on average for paid miles, but on actual miles it balanced out to about $1.52. That's where I was at over here. So I'm going to go ahead and put this here just to kind of even these out. So in end dump, on actual miles, which is what those are, it was $1.52 per mile net on actual miles. And if you guys don't know the difference between actual miles and paid miles, in trucking, paid miles are called book miles, PC miler. It's zip code to zip code. To give you an example of why there's a variance in these, there's generally a 10% difference roughly between actual miles and paid miles. Let's say you were going from Atlanta to Cleveland. It's roughly 750 to 780 miles maybe. You might be going from one end of Atlanta all the way up to the other end or the far east side of Cleveland. It could be 25 miles south of Atlanta proper, and you could be going 20 miles east of Cleveland. Well, you've got 40 to 45 miles right there that you did in addition to what you got paid for. So you might have been paid for 750 miles, but you might have actually driven 795 or 800 miles. Okay, well, if you think about that, on 755 miles, 75 is 10%. As you go over time, depending on the route that you take, the interstate that you take to go up there, you're going to have about a 10%, maybe a 15% variance between paid miles and your actual miles. That's why this number is a little less than my $1.68, because of the way that it calculated with actual miles. Okay, this is an actual number, that's an actual number. Actual miles, cost or revenue, net income per mile. Okay, so just a note to you guys. Some of you guys are going to ask about my fuel economy. Since I've been in pneumatics, so far right now I'm averaging roughly 6 miles to the gallon. Okay, I expect that to actually go up a little bit once we get to the summer blends in fuel. Obviously, right now we're still in winter with the winter blends, and that's costing me some fuel mileage. Clearly, I'm idling the truck more to get the loads off of the truck by running the blower. So that's dropping it down a little bit, but I'm still hovering right around 6 on my fuel economy. I'm not getting into all of the operating costs per mile now that I have the blower and everything else. I'm just not going to. I don't care that much about that. Okay, I know that I'm making money. Okay, I know what my base is that I need as far as overall dollars. I know that I need to provide for my family, and I'm well above that. Okay, I'm still making substantially more as an owner-operator than I did as a company driver, working for a good company, and I'm grateful for that. I've calculated in all of my costs for 401ks and vacations and everything else. And for those of you that say, but you didn't take into, I did take into account everything, okay? My company job, I made roughly $6,700 per month net as a W-2 employee. If you take into account my 401k, my vacation, my sick time, okay, my paid holidays, and all of those things, okay, that everybody gets, I get, those are all great bennies to have, nobody's arguing that. That added up to be about $500 a month, okay? So you're looking at $500 a month times 12, it's $6,000 a year, okay, all right? Divided by 12, it's still $500 a month, okay? That's $7,200 is what I was averaging with all of my compensation packages roughly per month working as a company employee with a W-2. In pneumatics, as I just said, once my blower is paid off, I'll be at $20K, and I expect to have my blower paid off in May. Okay, May. Here in the next 4 months, I expect to have the blower completely paid off. So again, that's going to be roughly $2 a mile net on 10,000 miles a month, which is $20,000 per month net. Out of this comes my truck payment, my maintenance, and my taxes. My truck payment, my maintenance, and my taxes totals, let's just go ahead and round up, $7,000 a month is where I'm at for those expenses. That leaves me, guys, at $13,000 a month on average net in the pneumatics division, running less miles, getting better rest. I do get good rest in pneumatics because there is more downtime, and I really enjoy it. I really like getting a great night's rest. Oakley's completely legal, guys. There's no outlaws over there. You run an ELD, it has to be proper and legal. Safety will not put up with the guy running illegal. Okay, but when you're busy and you're on a straight 10-hour break a lot of times, and you're back up and hitting the road to get onto that delivery to get your next load. Over here, there is more waiting. I kind of like that. It gives me time to rest and focus on some other things that I focus on. So just as a note to you guys. But $13,000 net. Well, by my numbers, okay, and I'm just a pretty simple guy, $13,000 is a lot more than $7,200. I'm not here to attack a company job in any way. $7,200 a month and overall pay package is really good, including your pay, your benefits, and everything else. Okay, I'm at $13,000. If you say, well, yeah, but you got to pay for your own benefits. I'm a retired military guy. I'm not getting into my personal expenses with you folks. It's none of your business. I'm not trying to be rude. But what I will say to you is that given my military service and those things that I had, me and my family are completely covered and completely taken care of. Okay, and it doesn't really impact that cost all that much. But here's what I will say for those of you that don't have military retirement or something else to provide medical for your family, and let's say that your wife didn't carry your benefits and you had to provide that. if you were shopping for a family plan on the open market and open enrollment, I'm going to venture a guess that for a decent plan, you would probably pay $1,200 per month to provide benefits for you and your family. Okay, if I had to guess, because I have looked at benefits costs. I'm not naive to this. Let's say $1,200 a month. Okay, well guys, by my calculations, at $1,200 a month, that's still, what, $11,800 a month that you would have net after you provided your benefits. $11,800 is a lot more than $7,200. Just my numbers show that. Again, not to attack this in any way, but if anybody wants to be nitpicky and say, well, you're not calculating all of this, I am calculating all of it. It's right here. Go check your paycheck. I guarantee you I'm pretty darn close to what these are. Okay, so the comparison between Pneumatics and end dump, $1.94, including all of my pays, detention, layover, Canadian pay, any other pays that I have, compared to end dump, which was $1.52 per mile. Clearly more. Over here, you're probably going to run more miles. So you are going to make very good money over here. You're just going to have more miles, okay, in making that. Your truck's going to run farther. My truck is going to idle more because I have to idle to get the load off of the trailer. And I'm probably going to have a little bit less miles because of the time involved. I have to go get washouts after almost every load. I'm delayed at customers. It takes longer to get the load off of the trailer given the pneumatic tank. So I'm going to have less miles but more per mile. And over time, what I intend to do is excuse me, hopefully some of my friends that run very similar to me as far as their schedule and their driving patterns that are in end dump, I hope to anonymously use their data in about 6 months and compare it to my data in 6 months to get a really good comparison between the divisions as far as overall revenue and a mileage rate. I think it'll be good to do that for us because I certainly would like to see it, and I know a lot of you would as well. I can't really give a good number right now because I've only driven for 36 days if you add it all up, but it is what it is. So in 36 days, I've made $28,445 in net revenue. I had $625 come out for a one-time deduction to balance my escrow, pay it off, and I've had an extra $200 coming out weekly as well as $175, okay, to cover my escrow payment and the blower payment. I still have $200 coming out for the blower, at least until May. I plan to pay it off in May. And then that will inject back into my check that $800 roughly per month, a little bit more actually, which should put me up at about $2 per mile net for all miles on average, which again I hope to be right around 10,000 miles per month, which will put me at 20,000 net on average per month. I will say that over here with my escrow coming out, I was at about $19,000 on average for the 4 months that I was in the end dump division. Again, it's if you guys want to do the math, it was 18.2 weeks, and like I showed you, I did 80K over here net in 18.2 weeks. Okay, so it was roughly, what is that, 4.5 months ish that I was over here. If you go from the last week of August to about the second week, roughly the 9th of January. Okay, so do the math on that. It came out to just right around 19,000, a little bit less. I don't have my phone on me to do the numbers right now, but that's about where it was. So you guys could do that number yourself. Okay, 80,000 divided by 4.2 or 3, whatever 18.2 is, and come up with a good number. So I'll be curious to see over a 6-month period and then a year period going forward how these compare. But clearly I'm making more per mile in Pneumatics than I was over here. But I definitely had more miles over here than I've had over here so far. And it stands to reason given downtime. So I hope this helps you guys. Just wanted to get up some preliminary numbers for you. And I know sometimes my whiteboard might be hard to follow, but I try to make it easy. So it looks like a big mess right now, but it is what it is. So again, thank you for watching. Okay, if you're interested in Oakley, hit me up. Thank you to my subscribers. I appreciate you watching. New subscribers, thank you for clicking that button. That'd be a good time to let you know if you haven't subscribed. Please hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Thank you all for watching. Okay, we'll catch you down the road. Jimmy's Road Life, LYFE @gmail.com if you're interested in Bruce Oakley or you have any other questions. You guys take care. Bye-bye.